A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
All suspects arrested in Moscow concert attack. President Putin calls the attack a barbaric terrorist act. Sri Lankan nationals were not killed or injured in Moscow. Foreign Ministry confirms. Statement on Easter Sunday attacks were made based on information received 3 weeks ago. Former President Maithripala clarifies. Multiple factions filed complaints at CID over statement issued by former President Maithripala. Justice Minister announces withdrawal of amendments to the Penal Code related to child abuse.
Just yesterday, a horrific attack shattered the peace at a concert in Moscow. At least 24 people have been killed and many injured after gunmen attacked a packed concert venue on the outskirts of Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin said all the attackers have been arrested and that the suspects were trying to flee to Ukraine. Kiev has described the claim as absurd.
The venue, Crocus City Hall, a large concert hall northwest of the city centre, became the scene of a deadly shooting that has left the nation in mourning. Several gunmen clad in combat fatigues stormed the concert hall on Friday. They opened fire on the unsuspecting crowd with automatic weapons. Children are said to be among the casualties, and the Russian Foreign Ministry has condemned a terrorist attack. More than 6,000 Russians had flocked to the Crocus City Hall retail and concert complex for a concert by rock group Picnic. Witnesses said the violence erupted minutes before the band were due to come on stage. How has Russia addressed the attacks? Russian President Vladimir Putin said the attackers tried to escape towards Ukraine and security has been tightened in response. The Russian president added that all the attackers have been found and are now detained. The Russian president called the attack on the concert hall a barbaric terrorist act. He said, quote, "Our enemies will not divide us," unquote. He also announced a day of mourning for the 24th of March. Russian officials are treating the incident as a terrorist attack. RT's editor-in-chief posted a video clip of the interrogation of one of the suspected terrorists behind Friday's incident. The footage showed a bearded man lying on the ground and describing in broken Russian how he'd been paid to commit the terrorist attack. The suspect said that he had committed the crime for money, detailing that he had been promised 500,000 rubles, that is about $5,418. Meanwhile, former president and senior Russian security official Dmitry Medvedev has called the gunmen to be killed. Medvedev, the deputy chairman of the Security Council, said, quote, "Russia will find and destroy Ukraine's top officials if they are linked to the gun attack," unquote. He said all of them must be found and ruthlessly destroyed as terrorists. Death for death. How has Ukraine responded? Kiev said it had nothing to do with the attack at the Crocus concert hall. Has the IS claimed responsibility? Foreign media reported that the Islamic State, that is the IS, has claimed responsibility for the attack through social media channels. However, these claims are yet to be independently verified by Russian authorities. What is the US saying? Over the past few weeks, the US intelligence agencies had obtained alarming information about the rising threats of the Islamic State in Russia. The US said that just 3 days before, Russian President Vladimir Putin disregarded US intelligence warnings regarding the possibility of a terrorist attack in Moscow. On the 7th of March, the US Embassy in Russia issued a security alert saying it is monitoring reports that extremists have imminent plans to target the large gatherings in Moscow, to include concerts. Meanwhile, security has been stepped up in Moscow at key installations, including airports and train stations. Reports on social media indicate that the Red Square has been locked down due to safety concerns following the attacks.
Сидел в зале сверху, где балконы были. Вот, услышали выстрелы, сначала не поняли, что произошло. Потом лично увидел, как террористы зашли, начали расстреливать всех, кинули в итоге молотов, все подожглось. Нас повели к выходу, в итоге выход был заперт. Мы бегали по всему Крокус-Сити, пытались найти выход, но было безуспешно. Вот. Зашли в подвал Крокус-Сити, холла, и дождались МЧС, и вот.
The attack has sent shockwaves across Russia and the international community. The Sri Lankan Ministry of Foreign Affairs has also said that no Sri Lankan nationals were among those injured or killed in the Moscow concert attacks.
Moving on to headline-making stories, here at home, former President Maithripala Sirisena clarified that his statement over the perpetrators of the Easter Sunday attacks were based on information he received 3 weeks ago. Now, speaking at a media briefing today, the former president highlighted that the statement was not made based on political ideologies.
මීට සති 3කට විතර පෙර මට ලැබිච්ච තොරතුරක් අනුව තමයි මම
I made that statement yesterday based on information I received 3 weeks ago. Immediately afterwards, I indicated that I would like to provide a statement to the court in this regard. Therefore, I respectfully request that the court believe me. It is important to note that I am not an attorney and do not have any personal connections with judges. I am unsure of the specific court where I should present my case or if I will be summoned to appear. However, when I am called to the relevant court, I will provide a confidential statement to the presiding judge as I mentioned yesterday. I am acting in accordance with my plan. Many are spreading false speculations about this. I saw critics on several websites and social media platforms that I made this statement targeting the upcoming elections, and that is not my motive. I am willing to provide a statement based on the facts that I received to aid the ongoing investigation and to also present more evidence to the judges. If the court summons me, I will provide a confidential statement. I am doing this confidentially because providing my facts openly in court could put my life and the lives of my family members in danger. This is not politically motivated. I am acting with utmost integrity.
දේශපාලන මතවාදී හෝ එහෙම නැත්නම් දේශපාලන වශයෙන් යම් ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන ඒවාට ගෑවිච්ච කාරණයක් නෙවෙයි. මම ඊටාම අවංකව කරන ප්‍රකාශයක්.
Speaking at the St. Sebastian's Church in Katuapitiya, the Archdiocese of Colombo expressed views about the former President Maithripala Sirisena's statement on the Easter Sunday attacks.
I believe those who know the truth about the Easter Sunday attacks are haunted by what they know. They are trapped, unable to speak freely or find peace until the truth is revealed. This compels them to occasionally break their silence and express their concerns publicly. In this context, I believe Maithripala Sirisena's conscience is also weighing heavily on him. He should reveal what he knows to the country, allowing everyone to finally achieve closure and move forward in peace.
When's the election?
The Putlam District Women's Conference of the Jathika Janabalavegya was held in Chilao today under the auspices of MP Dr. Harini Amarasuriya.
අපේ අද අපේ රටට අවශ්‍ය වන ඒ පරිවර්තනයේ සමාජ පරිවර්තනයේ
Our country needs transformation, and you have shown that women of this country are ready to lead that change. This is the victory we've achieved so far. Today we all struggle to breathe and strive to reclaim our full humanity. Food security is now paramount. We must be able to afford 3 meals a day. We need to talk about transforming society. We will continue to achieve more. There is no doubt. We will change this country, creating a more humane and just place. We will surely succeed.
ප්‍රතිඥාව විතරක් නෙවෙයි ඒක අපේ විශ්වාසය ඒක වෙනවා.
දැන් මේ දවස්වල දේශපාලන ඔබ කවුරුත් දන්නවා එක එක නේද ප්‍රවෘත්ති ගොඩක් හැදෙනවා එක එක විකාර රූපී රංගන ගොඩක්. මේ දවස්වල දිගටම යනවා ප්‍රවෘත්තියක් මොකද්ද? ජනාධිපතිවරණයට කලින් මහමැතිවරණය තියන්න ඕන.
There is a news spreading that the general election should be held before the presidential election. Basil Rajapaksa suddenly returned to Sri Lanka. Why did he come back from his home? Was it to save the country? Who is he trying to save? He is here to save the Rajapaksas. He is aware that the Rajapaksas are losing their reign. They are aware that the minute they lose their power, they will be sent to prison, not home. They are afraid. Why are they calling for a general election before a presidential election? They want to hold on to the power that they are losing. They are aware that if a presidential election is held, then they will have to support Ranil, losing the chance of having their own candidate. So in case of a general election, at least 25 to 30 seats will be secured. They love to hold on to power. Why are they so greedy for power? Because that's what brings the money. Hold whichever election it is, we are ready to drive this country to a new political journey by defeating a gang of thieves.
මේ හොරණඩේ පරාජයටපත් කරලා අපේ රට අලුත් දේශපාලන ගමනක් ගෙනියන්න අපි ඔක්කොම ලෑස්ති කියන එක අද මේ හලාවතදිත් පෙන්නලා තියෙනවා පොතලම් දිස්සියේ.
Meanwhile, multiple factions filed complaints with the CID over the statement made by former President Maithripala Sirisena.
The Catholic Committee of the Samaga Jana Balawegaya, led by MP Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena, filed a complaint at the Criminal Investigations Department today regarding the statement made by former President Maithripala Sirisena on the Easter Sunday attacks. They have also filed a complaint to the police headquarters over the statement. The Magin Ratata organisation also filed a complaint at the Criminal Investigations Department today over the statement made by former President Maithripala Sirisena on the Easter Sunday attacks.
Newsfirst with the people.
You know, if you are saying that someone conspired to get rid of you as president or whatever, you must have the hard evidence. The idea of putting this particular individual as chairman of this committee may well be to satisfy the SLPP or whatever. Need to know what these pieces of legislation are and how it impacts on their lives.
I would say we have no preference. We are ready for any election.
Because the Pohutto fellows know that they can't stay with the Pohutto anymore because of what happened. We are a political party who listens to professionals and academics who know the subject.
That being said, he is still a mandateless leader.
Right.
I would have said that whoever assumed duties,
95% of their, income are going for the lease
of the aircraft.
The government is trying to introduce, let's say, 40 new or 40 amended laws. That doesn't mean that we are developing in that area.
To produce 1 kilogram of rice in Sri Lankan context, the farmer used 500 liters of water. 1,500 liters of water in Sri Lankan farm on average used to cultivate 1 kilogram of rice.
Then your bargaining position is not that great. We have to be competitive and we have to have a good basket of goods. That's one of my main problems, how much these trade agreements will benefit Sri Lanka.
I think macroeconomic stability is important. Focusing only on that may not be sufficient. But even a 3% growth is not going to be sufficient to take the economy to where we want it to be.
Rather than a problem or an issue that needs solving. And that's why it's important to hear stories from people who have been impacted. This is something that may be overlooked.
Wins the election.
Deputy and Assistant Election Commissioners have been summoned to Colombo on April 2nd. Chairman of the Election Commission R.M.L. Ratnayaka said that they were summoned to Colombo for a 3-day workshop.
Chairman of the Elections Commission R.M.L. Ratnayaka said that necessary awareness for the implementation of the Election Expense Regulation Act will be provided during this workshop. The assistance of an expert with international experience in the field of regulation of election expenses will be obtained. He said that all measures have been taken to implement this act in the upcoming election.
A conference was organised by the Uttara Lanka Sabhagya in Maharagama today under the theme Escaping Defeated Economic Policies from 1977. The conference was organised by the Uttara Lanka Sabhagaya in Maharagama today under the theme Escaping Defeated Economic Policies from 1977. This event saw the participation of the chairman of the Uttara Lanka Sabhagya, Parliamentarian Udayagammanpila and Dalasala Peruma, Roshan Ranasinghe, Jayasiri Jayasekara, Venerable Athuruliya Ratanathera, Gevindu Kumaratunga, Jayantha Samaravira and former Minister Diyuguna Sekara.
ස්වංගනා කතා කියලා බලය ගත්තට වැඩක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. කෙලින් කියන්න ඕන කොහොමද ඩොලර් බිලියන් 75
There is no point in gaining power through fairy tales. To achieve this, a clear plan outlining how to increase $75 billion to $350 billion is essential. There is the port city, a scam. The IMF is pushing for more scams. Indian business tycoons are waiting for us to sell off SLT to purchase it along with our cables and data. They are also trying to divide the CB into 6 and sell it. Adani and Tata are waiting to purchase portions of it. The power and energy sector has fallen to a drastic level that it is dependent on these sales. I saw Sagar Ratnayaka visiting India to discuss connectivity between India and Sri Lanka. Who is Sagar Ratnayaka to decide that? Next is the ETC agreement. They are preparing to secretly sign this agreement during the April holidays. According to this statement, the Indian government will be given the same opportunities and access as locals in accessing jobs and trade. Be aware of the forces that come under the guise of saving the economy and robbing us for our resources. We can only build the new path only by uniting to fight and defeat these harmful groups.
The Gold District Conference of the Samagi Vanitha Balawege was held today.
සමගි ජනබලවේග රජයක අද අපි කියනවා මෙන්න මේ නීතියේ තියෙන සිදුරු අපි සමගි ජනබලවේග.
The loopholes in the law will be addressed by an SJB-led government in a way that protects women's rights and freedoms. Due to the lack of sufficient food and the detrimental economic policies of the current government, coupled with the economic pressure faced by the people, children are malnourished and unable to access quality education. The security of children, women and mothers in our country are at risk. Currently, mothers with children under the age of 2 cannot go abroad. This restriction used to apply to children under 5, demonstrating a concern in disregard for children's safety. Under our government, the Women and Children's Bureau will be granted police powers and established as an independent institution.
වයසේ දරුවෝ ඉන්න අම්මලාට විතරයි රට යන්න බැරි. මෙන්න දරුවන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාව නැති කරපු හැටි අපේ රජයක් ඇතුළතදී ළමා හා කාන්තා කාර්යාංශය පොලිස් බලතල ඇති වෙනම ඒකකයක් විදිහට ස්ථාපිත කරන්නයි කියන එක මම බොහොම ගෞරවයෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
They are wearing the shawl instead of the belt. Very soon, Basil Rajapaksa, who just came back from America, will decide whether the shawl will continue to be used as a belt or if it will be removed. If Basil calls parliamentary elections instead of presidential elections, he will be granted that wish. If Basil says they will be opting for a brand new political ideology, that too will be agreed upon. That is because the group of MPs in the SLP are controlling President Wickremesinghe. I am warning that a more dire crisis than that manifested by Gotabaya Rajapaksa will arise when those who should be caretakers at funerals are appointed to lead countries.
දූෂණය වෙනුවෙන් විශේෂිතව තිබුණු ඒ නීති පද්ධතිය
There were separate legal provisions for female abuse and male abuse. Now they are trying to combine both offences under one provision, but in a way that is demeaning to women. I raised my concerns about this yesterday in Parliament, highlighting the detrimental effect it would have on the future and security of women and children. I am happy to announce that today the Minister of Justice, Vijayasa Rajapaksa, has said he is withdrawing this draft bill. This is how we have fought for the future and security of women and children in this country. We have successfully advocated for the reinstatement of the Gram Rajya and Gramodaya concepts in 53,000 villages and 14,022 divisions. Within this Gramodaya framework, priority will be given to women in both villages and urban areas.
Newsfirst with the people.
State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that the price of imported goods and the VAT will be announced daily to control the price of essential goods during the upcoming festive season. The State Minister said that accordingly the relevant prices will be announced by the Consumer Affairs Authority from next Monday. The value of the Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated against the US dollar, now standing at about 300 rupees. He said the aim of this program is to pass the benefit to the consumers. Looking back at some developments coming in from Russia, at least 133 people were killed and more than 140 were injured following the attacks on a packed concert venue on the outskirts of Moscow. As the investigation into the situation in Moscow unfolds, the world watches anxiously and more conflicts in other parts of the world. Mariam Anthinal from Newsfirst brings us a breakdown on other international developments on tonight's The World Today.
That's right, Arundhati. While there are major developments coming in from Moscow in Russia, there is also a war between Russia and Ukraine that is continuing to date. Now, what are the latest updates coming in from Ukraine?
Yes, Mariam. Now, Russia has unleashed a barrage of missiles and drones targeting power plants and other energy facilities across Ukraine.
Mainly the critical infrastructure, including Ukraine's largest hydroelectric plant, was damaged but not destroyed. Ukraine said the attacks killed at least 5 people and left more than 1 million others without power, forcing Ukraine to seek emergency electricity supplies from Poland, Romania and Slovakia. Reports suggest over 150 missiles and drones were used, making it the largest attack on Ukraine's energy grid since the war began in February 2022, that is almost 2 years ago.
Now, Mariam, the attack caused widespread power outages, leaving over 1 million Ukrainians without electricity. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia hit his country with 90 missiles and 60 Iranian-made drones in a war with people's everyday lives, reiterating his calls for Western partners to supply air defense systems.
Final shelling had knocked out one of the power transmission lines feeding the Zaporizhzhia power plant, Europe's largest nuclear energy site, which was seized by Russian troops in the first days of the war, but is powered by Ukrainian lines. The attacks follow closely on the heels of Russia's strikes on Kiev the previous day, the largest attack on Ukrainian capital in weeks, after Russian President Vladimir Putin promised retribution for strikes and incursions into Russia's border regions.
Mariam, did you know that foreign media also reports the Kremlin described the attacks as revenge strikes to punish Kiev for the incursions?
At the same time, intensive fighting continues in the Israel-Gaza conflict as well.
That's right, Mariam. Yesterday, a diplomatic effort to end the ongoing conflict in Gaza hit a roadblock.
And the United Nations Security Council failed to pass a United States draft resolution calling for, but not demanding, a ceasefire in Israel's continuing war on Gaza after 2 permanent members chose to veto it.
Now, Mariam, the United States, a key ally of Israel, presented a draft resolution to the United Nations Security Council. The UN Security Council resolution calls for an immediate ceasefire and hostage deal in Gaza amid mounting pressure on Israel to halt its military campaign and allow the delivery of substantial amounts of humanitarian aid into the Palestinian territory.
Yes, Dinal, and the draft put before the Council received 11 votes in favor, 3 against from Russia, China and Algeria, and 1 abstention, that is by Guyana.
Now, Mariam, Russia accused the US of hypocrisy, arguing that the resolution didn't put enough pressure on Israel to stop its offensive in Gaza. They felt it wasn't a strong enough call for an immediate ceasefire. China echoed some of Russia's concerns and claimed the resolution lacked clarity regarding an immediate ceasefire.
So, with the vetoes, the resolution failed to pass, and this leaves the situation in Gaza unresolved and continues the deadly conflict.
Mariam, we also have developments coming in from the UK regarding the royal family.
That's right. The Princess of Wales has said that she is in the early stages of treatment after a cancer diagnosis. In a video statement, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, said it was a huge shock after an incredibly tough couple of months. Let's take a look at her video statement.
The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both.
Now, details of the cancer have not been disclosed yet, but the Kensington Palace said that it is confident that the princess will make a full recovery. Now, Mariam, the chemotherapy treatment began in late February.
Yes, Tinal, at the same time, the palace has said that it will not be sharing any further private medical information, including the type of cancer that the princess has. Well, those are all the stories we have for you on the world today. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Mariam Ganavijaya.
And I'm Tinal Tilakaratna, and it's back to the studios.
Moving on to sports news now. Day 2 of the first test between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh got underway today at the Sirasa International Cricket Stadium.
On the second day of the test match, Sri Lanka restricted Bangladesh to 188 runs in their first innings. Bangladesh lost 3 wickets for just 32 runs early on against a potent Sri Lankan pace attack. Vishwa Fernando bagged a 4-wicket haul, while Kasun Rajitha and Lahira Kumara chipped in with 3 wickets apiece. Sri Lanka responded by scoring 280 runs in their first innings. With a lead of 92 runs, Sri Lanka openers Dimuth Karunaratne and Nishan Madhushankar put together a 19-run partnership to start their second innings. However, the middle order suffered briefly, losing 4 wickets for just 64 runs. Sri Lanka captain Dhananjay De Silva and Dimuth Karunaratne put up a 49-run partnership for the 5th wicket. Dimuth Karunaratne contributed a valuable 52 runs, registering his 36th test half-century. Sri Lanka ended day 2 at 119 for 5, extending their lead to 211 runs.
The 50th convocation of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka was held in Colombo today.
President's Council Kaushalya Navaratne was declared as the president for a second term, while attorney Chatura Galhena was declared as the secretary of the BASL for the term 2024-2025. The first Bar Council meeting for the term also took place following the convocation, and the executive committee for the term was also elected. President's Council Nalinda Indatissa was elected as the deputy president, and attorney Chama Jayasekara was appointed as the treasurer. Zonal vice presidents were also appointed for this term. Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya, Attorney General Sanjay Rajaratnam, Minister of Justice Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, Minister of Mass Media Bandula Gunawardena and many other senior professionals in the legal fraternity attended the event.
The unofficial bar, the official bar, the judiciary brings together and come together to ensure that the administration of justice mechanism that is put in place to the benefit of the society being steered in the correct direction. It remains the responsibility of all of us to ensure that the respective responsibilities attached to each of us are discharged in the best interest of the co-beneficiaries, that's the members of the society.
Whenever there is an injustice, wherever there is an injustice, the bar is the first pillar which can come forward and help to safeguard the rights of our people, which we did in the past. I also must appreciate all our members of the Bar Association demonstrated their power and the strength by having the unity among ourselves.
A first-day cover and a stamp was issued in commemoration of the Golden Jubilee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka.
The inauguration ceremony of Rebuilding Sri Lanka Together, organised by the Young Planners Forum, got underway today in Colombo.
Rebuilding Sri Lanka Together is a 2-day workshop on development town planning for emerging young leaders. Following the workshop held today, 25 more workshops will be held at district level. The event saw the attendance of members of Sri Lanka National Youth Parliament, youth leaders representing each district and other stakeholders.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.